Hey guys, Jordan coming at you guys with a brand new episode of The High Side. In today's video, we'll talk about Christopher Bell going to the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing and where does that leave Erik Jones. We'll talk about Spire Motorsports buying the charter from Levine Family Racing. We'll talk about a brand new team coming to the Cup Series potentially in 2021, as well as all the big news around Bubba Wallace and where he'll land in 2021. And I have a really cool game, NASCAR game, I want to show you guys. So stay tuned and let's get into the episode. The first big piece of news I want to talk about today is this past week it was announced that Christopher Bell will be driving the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing starting in 2021. Obviously, right before that, the days before that, we heard that Erik Jones will no longer return to Joe Gibbs Racing. One thing I wanted to mention about Christopher Bell that was interesting that I came across is that Christopher said after Levine Family Racing was to be closed down, and if he didn't drive for Joe Gibbs Racing in the 20 car, then he would probably end his relationship with Toyota, and who knows where that would have had him land in 2021. But I thought that was very interesting considering how much they've invested in Christopher Bell. For them to invest as much as they have and for him to be willing to walk away from all of that so quickly, don't know how true that is, how much he would have actually followed through with that, but I thought that was an interesting thing to mention. And now that we know where Christopher Bell's going in 2021, we still need to figure out where in the world is Erik Jones going to land. Of course, there's still a potential ride at Hendrick Motorsports in the 48 car. We know that Chip Ganassi will most likely need to find a replacement for Matt Kenseth at the end of this year. Of course, we'll talk about this a little bit later about Bubba Wallace and his potential 2021 ride. And with that said, Erik Jones could take over the 42 car in 2021 if Bubba Wallace does not. And I think something to mention as well is it seems from what I can tell, again, I'm no expert. I'm not in the inside. I'm not talking to anyone particular, but it sounds like this relationship with Toyota and Erik Jones has probably come to an end at this point. Doesn't sound like they're going to try and find him a ride in 2021. So he's basically on his own with his team, management team, his agent trying to find a ride. Again, I think the most likely ride is probably going to be a Hendrick Motorsports or Chip Ganassi Racing. I think those are his best two options. Besides that, there's not too much out there unless maybe Bubba goes to a different team and Erik goes to Richard Petty Motorsports maybe, but that idea I've not heard at all. Again, that's just speculation, ideas that could potentially happen, but it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. And I think, again, once we know where Erik's going to land, and obviously we know where Christopher's going to be in 2021, I think it'll be interesting to watch their performance of the two drivers and how they perform in 2021 with their new teams. I think for sure Erik Jones will definitely be in the Cup Series next year. And again, like I mentioned in my previous episode, I'll put a link in the video. I do think that if I was Hendrick Motorsports, I would be calling his team right now and trying to sign him for 2021 because it seems like that's their best prospect for next year if they want to keep the ride open. But with all that said, let's get into the next topic. The second thing I want to talk about today is Spire Motorsports buying the charter from Levine Family Racing. Obviously, we all know as of this past week that Levine Family Racing sold all its equipment except the cars. The cars will go back to Joe Gibbs Racing, but the shop and all the things, the charter, all that was sold to Spire Motorsports. We already know that Spire Motorsports has one car in the Cup Series, the number 77. This will give them a second car for the team beginning in 2021. And we know that Spire Motorsports works with a lot of different drivers and sponsors and things like that. So when they actually entered the sport driving a car on Sundays in the Cup Series, people were a little surprised and thought maybe there could be a conflict of interest. But Spire Motorsports also said that this was a business decision, that they had a goal in mind as far as how they were going to make their money back and by investing in the sport. So this is very interesting that they would buy a second charter. They've never necessarily been competitive nor put in the resources to be more competitive. But in this newest purchase, they've mentioned in interviews that with the new next gen car coming in 2022, that it makes it much more viable and much more affordable for teams to get into the sport, which we'll kind of touch on that in a little bit. But with that said, they are able to, with the new car, they believe they can be more competitive and invest in growing the team and being more competitive for the years to come. With this purchase of Levine Family Racing, it also includes the building. So Spire Motorsports will move into the old building for Levine Family Racing. That way they can also expand to 2 cars, 2 teams. I believe, obviously, it sounds like the space has enough space to house all of that into one spot. So again, hopefully this isn't just a business decision and they don't continue to ride in the back. That would be really unfortunate. We would love to see more competitive cars in the Cup Series. Obviously, we have our powerhouses like Hendrick and Joe Gibbs and Stuart Haas. So it would be great if we could see a lot more competitive teams in the Cup Series. So hopefully this investment actually means they're not going to just drive another car in the back half of the field, but that they're actually investing in the sport and trying to be competitive. But time will tell, and I'm going to assume or hope for the best, and that hopefully this all works out better for them and NASCAR. And speaking of new teams joining the Cup Series in 2021, Adam Stern this week tweeted that Justin Marks is starting a new NASCAR Cup Series team called Trackhouse that will start as soon as 2021 and have a unique cause marketing focus on promoting STEM education. Justin Marks believes the next-gen car will lower the barrier of entry for team owners. Again, similar to what I mentioned with Spire Motorsports, it looks like Justin Marks, who is previously drove in the Xfinity Series. I believe he had 1 win, rain-shortened road course race, where it actually it did rain within the race, and he did win. I can't remember which race that was exactly. Of course, if you know, let me know in the comments, but it's really exciting to hear that a new team could be entering the Cup Series as soon as next year, a year before the actual next-gen car will be released in 2022. But as I kind of mentioned with Spire Motorsports, it sounds like with this next-gen car, it provides opportunity for a lot of new owners because everything will be coming from one place, and it won't be as expensive for teams to get started and buy equipment and all that kind of fun stuff. So hopefully this will lead to another competitive team in the Cup Series. As it was mentioned in the tweet, the team as of right now is called Trackhouse. I'll throw the logo up on the screen for you guys to see. But Justin Marks did follow up from Adam Stern's tweet confirming that he is looking to invest in a Cup Series team in 2021. I don't believe he's looking to drive the car. He's probably going to look for someone else. Personally, I would recommend Landon Castle. He has one of the lowest crash ratings, keeps car clean. He's going to protect your car so that you're not wrecking every week like Quinn Huff, which replaced Landon Castle, but that's a whole other issue, another story for another day. And so hopefully we'll see someone get a good shot and see another new Cup Series team be competitive beginning next year. And then once 2022 rolls around, it'll be interesting to see how many other potential owners or potential teams could join the sport and if it actually is easier to enter in the sport going forward from that point. The last bit of news I want to talk about is similar to what we talked in the last episode of The High Side. That's Bubba Wallace and his plans for 2021. This past week or past couple weeks, he has actually announced multiple new sponsors that are joining him and Richard Petty Motorsports on a multi-year deal. Now, these sponsors seem to be tied more to Bubba from what everybody seems to understand of the situation. They're not necessarily tied to RPM and Bubba. We've got Columbia Sportswear that signed a multi-year deal. We have DoorDash that recently signed with Bubba. We have the Cash App that recently signed. And with all that said, the newest one being, again, DoorDash announcing this past week that they want to run and race with Bubba Wallace in the car. None of these sponsors and none of these deals include Bubba Wallace staying or signing an extension with Richard Petty Motorsports, which is really interesting. Usually when you hear of these multi-year deals, the driver and the sponsors typically sign together so that they can stay together with the team. But Bubba Wallace has made it very clear that these new sponsors are not tied to him re-signing with Richard Petty Motorsports. So what does that mean if he decides to go race for Chip Ganassi Racing, which also has extended an offer, as Marty Smith announced during the broadcast in the last week's race at Michigan? And so it'll be interesting to see what Bubba does. I'm assuming all the sponsors will go with him. And so, of course, that means Richard Petty's really going to try even harder to get him to stay. We know they've offered him a higher ownership stake at Richard Petty Motorsports to stay, but as of right now, Bubba is still deciding where he wants to race. Of course, again, as I mentioned last week, I think Chip Ganassi Racing provides a better opportunity, slightly more competitive, but it would be cool to see the 43 back in victory lane, and their performance is obviously improving this year. And it would be really cool to see Bubba bring the 43 to victory lane in the years to come. But my heart says I want him to stay at Richard Petty Motorsports, and my head says he needs to go to Chip Ganassi Racing if he wants the best shot to be competitive and potentially win some races. So we'll see what happens. I would love to hear your comments, what your predictions are. Where will Bubba Wallace race in 2021, including Erik Jones? Where's Erik Jones going to race in 2021? Lastly, for today's video, I did want to share some more odd history, and this one's a little bit more personal. It was recently my birthday, and as of course you can tell, I'm a big NASCAR fan, and my family knows that, and so I always get a bunch of awesome NASCAR gifts like this. Where is it? There we go. Dale Earnhardt bobblehead right behind us, and this Jimmy Johnson diecast from his first championship in 2006. But something really unique that I got was this NASCAR Champions board game. I'll throw up a few pictures here up on the video so you guys can see it, see the pieces. So this game called NASCAR Champions came out in 1998 and includes featuring drivers of Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Ward Burton, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Kenny Wallace, and Mike Skinner. And basically what happens is you make 2 laps around the little track, and after you complete the first lap, you make a certain amount of money depending on what place you finish, and then you make a second lap, and there's sponsor cards involved with it. And so basically whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. I remember playing this a ton as a kid, and so my grandmother thankfully went and found it on eBay, an unopened case, as you can probably tell in these pictures. So it was really cool to get one of my favorite childhood games in a box, unopened. I did open it, as you'll see in these pictures as well, and the surprising thing to me was that we had to physically place every single sticker on the cars, on the dice, on the little coins. So it was a little tedious to get started, but I'm so excited to finally have it again and play it with my friends. And you gotta love this picture on the back with them playing the game in the NASCAR garage, assuming during practice or between practices. As I mentioned, I have so many memories with this game, so it's really cool to have it. I'm definitely gonna take care of it, make sure the pieces last and they don't get too worn out. But it's really cool to have back in my collection. And if you guys ever played this game, let me know in the comments, or any other racing related games that you guys think would be cool to add to my collection. I'm always looking for new board games. So I hope you guys like that little bit of odd history. I know it's a little bit different, but I was really excited about this gift, and I thought it'd be really cool to share on the channel with you guys. And so I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of The High Side. If you did, make sure you smack that like button. Of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell if you guys don't want to miss future episodes. I do stream on Twitch on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturday nights after 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We do a lot of iRacing there, a lot of racing with followers in the ranks races, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you guys want to hang out there, we're playing some Fall Guys. We're doing a little bit of everything. And the Flight Simulator just came out, Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we're going to be having some fun with that. So if you guys want to hang out with me there and check that out, there's a link in the description to my Twitch page. I'd love for you guys to follow me there. And I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.